I want to show you some tricks, some hacks about the Zen multi-tool by Undesign. This is a modular multi-tool, meaning that you can replace very easily different implements, exchanging very much like you can do with the Roxon Flex system. However, this is a different system. I made another video explain that you cannot interchange the tools between the two systems, except that there is a little hack that you can use one in the other, but a very limited way. So right now I want to show you some tricks, some things that are not in the manual, but you can do to make the most of this multi-tool. Some people had a very bad reaction to this, saying that, for example, this lever protrudes too much, so I will get tangled into things and open the tools accidentally. So I'm gonna show you that you may not need at all this lever. So that's gonna be one of the things I'm going to discuss. So let's get started. First of all, let's look at the official way to operate it, and then we're gonna see some tricks, some unofficial ways. So first one is you have the button and the lever. So for the screwdriver, there's no way around. You just need to use this button to open it. So it is what it is. There's no hack there for the screwdriver. However, for the tools, we're gonna see that there are some tricks you can do actually. So the official way to remove a tool is to move the lever all the way in the open position, and that we create a big opening here, such that you can move a tool out and in just by having the lever in this position. That's the official installation method. And then once you have it installed, then there's other things you can do. So one of them is to deploy the tools. So they say is you open the lever and give it a gentle downward flick. So you move it like this, and then you can deploy these tools, pick what you want, and then lock it in place. Then the third step is how to close it, which is to push the lever to close it. Okay, and enough of the official instructions. Now let's try ways to do it differently. So something I noticed is without using anything, if you just hit this with sufficient force, you can deploy the tools. So in that sense, you don't need this lever to deploy the tools. You can just do that little motion and pick a tool, and then it's going to be locked, ready to use. Now to unlock it, they ask you to push this lever. However, even if you see some of their early videos, you can see that you can do the same effect by pushing other tools in. So you're going to push the other tools in, and then you unlock. So you don't need a lever for unlocking or for deploying the tools. The question that remains is, do you need a lever to exchange tools? So I'm going to answer that question. So there's a few tricks you can do to replace the lever. So one of them is, if you have a tool deployed and then you unlock it and push it further than it should, that will open up the the lock more in a overly open position. That way you can remove tools. For example, I'm going to remove the lever this way. So I remove the lever, so now we don't have it anymore. Can we do all the operations normally? Well, to unlock, you can push the other tools. To deploy, you give a flick. So far we're doing everything without using this lever. Question is, can we exchange tools? Well, this was already a bit of a spoiler, because I show you that you can overextend a tool. So this first step was to release this lock, and then we push this overly to the other side. Let me do it again. Now this leaves the lock very open, and you can do a tool exchange that way without using the lever. So possibly this was the original way to do it, and then the other lever to make it easier. I don't know if that's the case, but you don't very often probably gonna change tools. So if you have to do something a little difficult like this, this pushing, it requires a bit of motor skills, but then you can exchange tools. So everything you can do with the lever we can do without, but this has also an advantage, which is you can get an extra space for a tool. So the question is, what's the good thing about the lever? Well, it's a little easier to use than doing all this trickery. So especially if you have any sort of medical condition, or older arthritis or anything, or are a beginner, everything gets easier with this lever. So I can see why they want to make it easy to use. But if you have a little bit of motor skill and like puzzles and all that stuff, now putting stuff in is also kind of easy. You just push the implements, this opens enough, and inserting a tool is relatively easy. The only thing that is hard to do without a lever is to remove a tool. So in any case, that was what I want to show you. This kind of trick to operate things without using the lever. See here, I overextend a tool and can remove something. Let me see. I'll try to remove the lever again. Like that. And you do it. So now you have another space to put more tools. Let me know what you think. I think this is good, because one of the biggest complaints of this tool was how much this is in the way. So if we can just eliminate it, you can basically do anything without it. And now we have a much more useful thing. I still don't like the fact that if it's able to fall, you can accidentally deploy tools, but that's a problem with other things. The Roxon Flex has the same thing. Of course, it has an extra lock that if you push it, that will prevent that from happening, but sometimes you don't always engage that lock. So in that way, this is almost exactly the same as the Roxon Flex. Some people may argue not. And then when these are open, this is very firmly in place, which is also almost less wobbly than the Roxon Flex. So still, maybe this is not a perfect system, but if you just learn all these things, I think you can get more from it. I just show you that you don't really need this. On the plus side, you get an extra slot for more tools. So that's all I wanted to share. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.